أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, the originator, and the designer of the heavens and the earth. And upon the best of creation, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we send our salutations to him, his family, his companions, and those that follow them in goodness till the end of times. How many times in your personal life has your father come to you and given you advice? Dozens of times, hundreds of times, thousands. The role of fatherhood in the lives of Muslims in the West and in the West in general is a role that is being neglected. If we look at what is portrayed on television, for example, and how fathers are shown, they're shown as imbeciles, those that are stupid. That's how fatherhood is portrayed on television. But we know that this isn't the lens of a Muslim. We know the important role of fathers in the lives of a Muslim family. And so, one of those fathers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran and dedicates a whole page to is Luqman alayhi salam. Luqman alayhi salam was a father just like many other fathers. But the advices that he gave to his son were so important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it in the Quran. That's how important these advices were. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite all of the millions and perhaps billions of fathers that have come and the advices that they have given to their children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the advices of Luqman alayhi salam to be the one that remains till the end of times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose these advices. So we should pay attention to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to hear from someone who is a father role that is presented in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He starts off by saying, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةَ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ وَمَنْ يَشْكُرْ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off by saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has verily given Luqman wisdom, al-hikmah. And al-hikmah, wisdom, as we translate it as, is not something that is something that you can learn. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives wisdom to whoever He wills. Wisdom, as the scholars explain in the books of tafsir, is the ability to act on the knowledge that you are given. Many people can study knowledge. It's information at the end of the day. But what you do with it and being able to practice it and the ta'bir of the ilm is what we would consider hikmah, as wisdom. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Luqman this wisdom, what did he do with it? And what was he commanded to do with it? Anishkur lillah. To be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one of the first lessons we learned from Luqman. That if you are granted ilm and wisdom, you are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that He gave all of us life. The fact that after giving us life, He did tarbiyah of us and He brought us. And then beyond that, He even gave us hidayah. That is something that people outside do not share. And so we should be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave us this hidayah. And the epitome of shukr and gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jal is that you worship Him. And the most ungrateful person and ingrate is someone who is a disbeliever. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And whosoever is ungrateful and is an ingrate, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in no need of that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghani. He is free from needing anything from us. Hamid. He is praiseworthy without having us to praise Him. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts to list off the advices that Luqman gives to his son. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِابْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ الشِّرْكَ لَظُلْمٌ عَظِيمٌ. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Luqman to be a man of wisdom, to be a man of knowledge, how is that knowledge that he was given and that wisdom he was given expressed? It was expressed by the way he gave tarbiyah to his children. And this is sadly very lacking within the predominant Muslim culture that we see in the West, a lack of tarbiyah. And we see how beautifully Luqman is giving tarbiyah to his son. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِبْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ. When you do tarbiyah to children, just as Luqman alayhi salam gave tarbiyah to his son, you don't do it in a staunch way. You don't be harsh with them. Rather, you do it with love. And even when you are harsh, when it needs to be harsh, it's rooted in what? Love. Love of the child growing up to be a good person, a good mu'min, a good mu'minah. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِبَنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ. And the first advice he gave to his son, and what did he call his son by? Oh my dear beloved son, my little son. And this is a message to the fathers and parents. And even to the teachers that deal with young children, when you talk to these young children, when you talk to people that you are supposed to be expressing love to, don't just use plain names. Use nicknames. Use names that you know they would find beloved. You know, in Arab culture, if you want to show respect to a man, you call him by his laqab, Abu Bakr. Or you call him by, or Abu Hurairah, for example. And if you want to show dearness to someone, you would make a change to their name, or you do tasghir to their name. So for example, if you have someone that is called Umar, you call him Umayd out of love. Right? And also, for example, Umar radiallahu anhu once called Abdullah Mas'ud Ubaydullah out of love, out of endearment. So, when you call your children and when you call off to your wives, use beloved names. And the first advice that Luqman alayhi salam gave to his son was La tushrik billah. Do not associate partners with Allah Azza wa Jal. And what we understand from this is that Luqman alayhi salam, from amongst all of the things that he could have given advice to his son, first thing he spoke about was not to associate partners with Allah Azza wa Jal. Showing us fiqh al-awlawiyat, the fiqh of prioritization. This is something that is lost amongst Muslims. For example, you have a father who obviously cares for his children, but he doesn't know how to structure that care. Or he himself doesn't know the priorities of what he should teach his children. And so he will push that child, his son or daughter, towards secular education. Go to school, get A's, go to the best school, get honors, go to the best college, go to the best university, allowing his daughter to perhaps traveling far, far away from his eye to be able to what? Just for the sake of secular studies. And then, regretfully, when that child is now old, when that child has now been brought up from a family in a Muslim household, but by the influences of secular education and the West, now that person, now that child that you were supposed to have taken care of and brought up in a Muslim environment, now they are completely changed. And now they want to marry a non-Muslim. And now they don't want to make Islam a part of their lives. And they come perhaps to the Imam or the Sheikh to complain, my son and my daughter is doing such and such thing. The mistake was when they were young. And the problem can be fixed and the solution can be fixed whilst they are. So if you have small children, make sure that you prioritize the fact that they are in a Muslim environment, that you prioritize their Islamic education, that you prioritize their Islam before anything else, just like Luqman alayhi salam did. And then Luqman alayhi salam continued to proceed, Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. Because when you associate partners with Allah, when you live a life other than Islam, when you live a life of in a secularized society, pursuing all of those things, you are doing dhulm to yourself. A lot of these people are lost, and through Islam can you only find guidance. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He interrupts the conversation. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now interrupts the conversation. All of the ayat, you see that Luqman, he's saying, oh my son, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. But over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala interrupts the conversation. He says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. And we have given advice to man about his parents, reminding them of the favors. His mother bore him difficulty after difficulty, pain after pain, and nursed him, that child or her, for 2 years, so that perhaps that you can show some gratitude to your parents and to Allah Azza wa Jal. And to me is your return. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching the parents here a very powerful lesson, that if you prioritize Islam for your child, Allah will take care of them and make sure that they respect you. And I can tell you this from personal experience. When a parent prioritizes the fact that their child is brought up in a good environment and is brought up as a good Muslim, that child will for sure bear the responsibility of taking care of their parents when they're old. Will for sure take care of and bear the responsibility of having the parent live with them, like it is common in many Muslim households where the parent, as they are old, they live with their children. When you look at the people that are far and distant from Islam, do their parents live with them? Don't. Have you ever visited one of these nursing homes? Those old people, those senior citizens, cry waiting for their children to visit them. Cry, literally shed tears because the kids that they brought up don't want to come and visit them. They wait for phone calls. They wait for just a text message from the people that they assumed were a part of their family. So it's Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us that if we make sure that our children are brought up in a good Muslim household and that we take care of their iman and Islam first, don't worry about them taking care of you, because they will. And Allah promises that, and this is an ishara for that the Mufassirun mentioned. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيَّ ثُمَّ إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ فَأُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to talk about the parents. And He says, Azza wa Jal, and if they are trying to, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي, if they are trying to push you associating partners with Allah Azza wa Jal and trying to push you away from Islam, then don't obey them. And this does not only apply to non-Muslim parents that are trying to encourage their children not to become, reverts or trying to become Muslims or whatnot. This also applies to even Muslim households. There's a qaida, لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. There is no obedience of creation in the disobedience of the Creator. لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. So some parents, it's sad to see, for example, in Desi households, where they will prevent their daughters from wearing hijab because how will she get married? Who will want to marry her if she doesn't wear hijab? For example, in these cases, do not obey them. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. And aside from these things, where you are not allowed to show obedience to them because you are now disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal, be in their good company and show kindness to them. Be in their good company and show kindness to them. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. In America, there's this idea of the self-care culture. If you'll find that many of the young generation nowadays, as they grow older, and they obviously they come and they've been brought up in America, and their parents have been brought up in other countries, it's very hard for them to get along. And so sometimes the parents that come from other backgrounds, they will tell their daughters, it's time for you to get married. Or they will encourage their sons, you need to do this, you need to do that. And sometimes these children that are brought up in this Western society with this self-care culture, they're like, man, my parents always irritate me, always bothering me, always ordering me around. I don't want to live with them. Every time I go and visit them, they have a comment to say. That's not an excuse. They think this is an excuse to not show good care and kindness to their parents because their parents have a few comments every time they see them. That's not an excuse. That's not a Shar'i excuse. You have to show kindness and care, and you have to be patient with your parents. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. This is a tough conversation. Many will not tell you, but you have to, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally puts no one next to Him except the parents. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. So many ayat in the Quran. So you have to show good company to your parents with kindness. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. And follow the path of those that have come towards me, that have turned towards me. And this again goes back to what I mentioned of that culture. If you surround yourself with Muslims and people that are righteous, and you show that you are not visiting your parents, those friends, they'll check you. They'll be like, how dare you not go see your father? How dare you not go see your mother? That is a responsibility. But if you are around bad influences, perhaps people that are not practicing, perhaps people that have gone through a Western education and now they think that, that is superior, and you tell them that my parent, every time, I go, my mom nags me. Oh, don't go. Why are you going to go? That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to keep us around good company. ثم إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. When parents do tarbiyah of their children, they need to make sure that they instill fear of Allah Azza wa Jal in their children's hearts. And they make the child's biggest concern Allah Azza wa Jal and not people. If you are afraid of people and not Allah Azza wa Jal, problems will arise. I'll give examples of this. If you see, sadly, watching explicit haram material, pornography on the internet has become prevalent in the society. That is because people people fear others, but they don't fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Because if taqwa was there, they would not resort to that. Because even in their private quarters, they would not come to doing haram. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Ya bunay, innaha إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله. That even, a mustard seed side of a deed that you do that is hidden beneath a boulder or somewhere between the heavens and the earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring it forth. There is no escaping Allah Azza wa Jal. There is no escaping Allah Azza wa Jal. So when you instill in your child fear of other people, log kya kenge, as they say in Urdu, what will people say? Hamari izzat, our honor, what will people say? That is not what you should instill within your child. Rather, what you should instill is fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. Inna Allah latifun khabir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever settled and aware. Ya bunay aqim as-salah. Ya bunay aqim as-salah wa'mur bil ma'ruf wanha 'anil munkar wasbir 'ala ma asabak inna dhalika lamin 'azmi al-umur. Then he continues to advise his son. He says, my child, my son, my dear son, establish prayer. Establish prayer. Fix your own affairs with Allah Azza wa Jal. Fix your own relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. If you have no salah, if you have no sila with Allah Azza wa Jal, then why are you worrying about anything else? First things first, fix your connection and relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. Then, after you fix your own relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر. After you fix your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, then don't just keep the guidance for yourself. Then command good and forbid evil. Then command good and forbid evil. This is lost within our society. How many times do we see people perhaps engaging in sin? And yes, amr bil ma'ruf, in guiding people, advising them, has to be done with wisdom. But a lot of people don't even do it at all, period. You have to command good and forbid evil. The Prophet ﷺ was once asked, أَنَهْلِكُ وَفِينَا الصَّالِحُونَ Ya Rasulullah, will we be destroyed even when we have righteous people amongst us? He said, yes, إِذَا كَثُرَ الْخَبَثِ. If the filth has become a lot, then yes, it is possible that you will also become destroyed with them. So we are responsible for society, not just ourselves, not just our families, but also society. When we see opportunities to do amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, especially with those that are close to us, we need to take that initiative. And when you tell people that this isn't right, this is not allowed in Islam, that you should, brother, you're missing salah every single day at work, you should come pray with me. If you know someone that is smoking, you should say, brother, this is not permissible. You know this. Examples. People are not going to like you. You think people like someone that tells them what to do and what not to do? Of course not. That's why Luqman alayhi salam, he tells his son, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا أَصَابَكَ. And be patient with what befalls you. Be patient with what befalls you. You can't just sit back and let society crumble into chaos while you sit on your high chair and throne of religiosity. That is not allowed as a Muslim. You have to be involved in society. You have to be involved, and you have to take care of the Muslims beside you. You have to be involved and take care of the non-Muslims beside you. You have to care. We can't just let things go. And for this, it requires people of great, of backbone. It requires people of grit. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. This is from those things that requires grit and backbone, from having those high aspirations. And there are a few ayat left for Luqman's advice. Perhaps we could save it for a later khutbah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us barrina biwalidayna. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us righteous sons and daughters to our parents. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those that are muwahideen, that only worship Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant our parents paradise. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our parents. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those people that establish prayer, that command good and forbid evil. وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
حق لا إله إلا الله استووا استقيموا واعتدلوا. There's space